So here we are. Thank you so much for taking this time to come and be in my kitchen with us. We really appreciate it. And what I'd like to do is just show you some of the things that help us to make living this way really tasty and enjoyable. So I think one of the main, sorry, I've just managed to see myself on the screen with my electric hair that Aisha was talking about the other day. So I might just push my hair down a bit because I find that's kind of a bit like a professor. What I'm really excited to be with you here today and show you some of the things that we do in our kitchen that we've built up over many, many years of thought and reflection, and that we find really helps us to stay healthy and vibrant. So one of the main things that I feel has helped my health, which is outlined in this great book, How Not to Die, is to focus on plants. And there's nothing controversial about that. You know, eating more fruits and vegetables. There's a government plan of 5 a day, and that was based on research which actually suggested that we eat 12 portions of vegetables and fruit a day. So, and this book is loaded with, you know, scientific references about the benefits of eating more fruits and vegetables. That part of it alone is just scientific reference. And so plants obviously are great things. And I remember when I was working at the Hale Clinic, a lady who had been experiencing severe arthritis, and she came to see a practitioner there, and he saw her again 2 months later, and for the first time with her arthritis, she'd had to walk with a frame, and she came back to visit him, and she wasn't using the frame anymore. And he said, well, what have you done? And she said, I bought this book, Raw Evolution, which is one of the books that we use, and I've been eating a raw food diet. So I'm not saying raw food diets cure everything, it's a panacea, but if you look at the people who get miraculous results, it is quite heavily focused on eating quite a lot of raw food. Now, that doesn't mean cold food, but I would suggest that one of the main things you can do to build health into your diet is to eat more raw fruits and vegetables. Now, that doesn't mean cold, as I'm going to show you. So if we're going to start putting together healthy meals in our house, one of the main things that we want to do is make a big salad to go with every meal. So even if you were adding animal protein to your meal, serve it with a big bowl of fresh raw salad. And so the other thing that we need to consider is that our fridge, in order to make that bowl of salad, needs to be stocked with fresh, organic fruits and vegetables. So I'm going to show you that in a minute. Now, I just want to outline the course that we're going to go through here. So we're starting with some basic principles. Then I'm going to show you some of the more potentially labor-intensive things that you can do that once you practice them, like anything, are easy and enjoyable to do. So there is so much you can do. And really, if this starts to feel overwhelming, then just put your helmet on and just focus on this, what I'm starting here with, and just let some of the other ideas float over you and think about, you know, maybe you could incorporate that, maybe you could move to that at some time. So, principle number one that I think everybody can aim to do is to get more fresh salads on the table for their meals. And so what you need is a big bowl so that can go on the table. Now, if we're going to make a big salad, then we've got some leaves here, or we keep all our vegetables in the fridge in water so that they're fresh. And I wish you could feel just how fresh that is, because if you're going to buy organic vegetables either from your supermarket or from a health food shop, or from a farmer's market, or grow your own vegetables, then if they're sitting in the fridge after 3 days, they're just not going to look that exciting. But if you do this technique where you make them, you cut the bottom off the plant and stand it up in fresh water, then you get something that's fresh and vibrant, and then you'll want to eat it. So into this bowl goes your lettuce, your tomatoes, your cucumber maybe, and something that I'm going to come on and talk about in a minute, we put sprouted seeds in there as well. But what you want is for that food to have a life force. That is one of the most powerful, energetic things that you can do for your body, is to eat food that is alive, that has a life force. And then when we made that bowl of salad, we massage it with our clean hands so that it transfers an energetic quality to that food, but it's not freezing cold having just come out of the fridge. Another tip, set your fridge at the lowest cold temperature, so the warmest temperature it can be at, because you really don't want this stuff to be in an ice box. You want it to be in a cool environment so that it's preserved, but not in an ice box. Okay, so big salad made. You're serving that with, if you want, you get back from work, you're in a hurry, or you just want something quick, then you could buy some plant-based falafel or burgers or something like that, that you serve with your big salad, and then you've got some living food and some food that you maybe just throw in the oven and put it on a plate. So it really, really doesn't need to be complicated. You can add things like nuts and seeds to your salad to make it more flavorful. And one of the other things that is really beneficial is seaweed. Rich source of minerals, and that's clear spring and that's sea spoon, so you can add those to your salads. Now, that is stage one, and I think we can, all do that and really, start to get more fresh raw vegetables into our diet. Now, some of the more developed things, and I think this is really, anybody who's ever received a blood report from me, I'm always going on and on and on about greens. And dark green leafy vegetables, to me, really are, one of the most powerful helping foods that we want to get in our diet. Our grandmothers or, grandfathers all would have said dark green leafy vegetables are good for you. I've got a poster in my office from the wartime where people were encouraged to eat dark green leafy vegetables. They're loaded with chlorophyll, they're loaded with phytonutrients, they're loaded with beta-carotene, which is a precursor to vitamin A. Really, really superfoods, I would say. So there are a couple of ways that we can get these into our diet, but this is a small amount of our kale supply. So literally every 2 or 3 days, we are out buying kale. And, another way you can do it is looking a bit depleted. You could argue for camera effect, but that's our wheatgrass tray. So and in the garden, we have some chard growing. You just really, what I would encourage you to do is find ways to get this into your diet as much as you possibly can. And again, it's in a bowl of water. We washed it before when we brought it in from the supermarket, and that is absolutely firm. I'm going to do a sound effect by the camera. Hopefully you can hear that. So so then we've got to think, well, how are we going to get that from there to here in the tastiest possible way? So you can add it to your big salad bowl. Just chop it up really finely, and that's one way of doing it. Another way that we've been doing quite a lot of recently is to blend your greens. So if you blend your greens, then you can make what I would say would be a raw soup. You don't want to drink that. I've been reading a lot of really interesting research that Michael Greger, the author of How Not to Die, highlights on his website, nutritionfacts.org. And the speed at which you consume raw vegetable soups or smoothies, if you drink that down, that actually isn't going to have a fully satiating effect on you. And if you think that that food normally would be digested in your mouth and then slowly introduced into your body, if you're doing the work of the teeth in the blender, and so you're making something that you can just palatably eat, but you don't want to drink it at high speed when it's from the blender. The juicing, that you can just drink, because we're going to come on and talk about juicing in a minute. So if I'm making a green smoothie in the blender, what I do is I put cucumbers and tomatoes, which are just about in season. If Daphne Lambert, my really good friend, was watching this, she'd be giving me a hard time about things that aren't really properly in season. But they give juice and fluid. And then I'm putting, where have they gone to, my favourite friends, I'm putting this in, Popeye style. It could be spinach, but I particularly like kale. Some people are concerned about phytic acid with spinach. I'm not too preoccupied with that, but kale has a very limited amount of that. So that's one way. You get it in, you make your smoothie, and if you're interested, I can email you a recipe for the things that we put in it that makes it absolutely delicious. One of the things that I've just started using to add to that smoothie is these nutritional yeast flakes. Some people who are eating a plant-focused diet are concerned about their B12 intake. There's quite a lot of research showing that people who eat animal protein are potentially as susceptible to B12 deficiency as people eating plant-based diets. But if that's a concern for you, then it's a bit like a sort of cheesy flavour, and we add that in the smoothie. We add a green powder, but not too much heavy processed food, because the minute that you process the food, and this is something else I'm going to talk to you about, it becomes oxidized. So if you're interested in the recipe that we use for the blend, I'm happy to email that to you. So this brings us on to just talk about the principles of living food. And what we do in our kitchen is we're obsessed with sprouts. We sprout everything. And the reason that we do that is if you eat a sunflower seed like this, it really is designed to pass through your body. It's very difficult to get the nutrition from it. So you can blend that. You can use the blender, blend it up. But the minute you do that, it's going to start being oxidized. And it's not extremely bioavailable. Whereas if you take a sprouted seed or a bean, which here we have sunflower seeds that have been sprouted in our special metal top jars, they are much more easily to absorb, much more easy to digest. Our digestive system will absorb the nutrients from that. And guess what? When you're sprouting, and I always find myself looking at people's nutrient profiles and recommendations from some of the tests that we're doing that say have more B vitamins. Well, the minute you sprout something, the B vitamin content goes through the roof. So bioavailable, easily digested, and not, actually not difficult to do to sprout things. And we use a lot of sprouts. So we actually add those to our special salad bowl as well. And once you've got a lot of those, your satiation starts to go up. So that's sprouts. Now, the other thing that we do, so what I remember listening to a talk that Chris Walk did. His website, Chris Beat Cancer, is all about, he has interviewed a lot of people who have brought nutrition into their regime in order to help themselves with a cancer diagnosis. And he outline some of the things that he did when to help himself, and he talks about really needing to get lots of vegetables into your body. So one of the ways that you can do that is to juice, because when you juice, all the work that your digestive system would normally do is done. And a lot of people are quite resistant to juicing because they feel there's waste. A lot of the fibre, which actually does serve a purpose in your body, that is removed by juicing, would actually disappear down the toilet when you've eaten it. Now, that doesn't mean that fibre doesn't have a purpose. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be making smoothies or eating food. But if you've got any digestive challenges, or you want to just increase the speed of delivery of nutrition into your body, you feel if your digestive system is compromised, if you're wanting to do some kind of detoxification, then making juices is a great way to do that. And we've just had a juice with our lunch today. And again, if you're interested in that, I can email you a recipe for juicing. And it's a great way to get your kale into your body, but it doesn't make that much juice. So you need a good quality juicer, and this we call a Monster. And that's a juice machine. Sylvia's just trying to get to answer the doorbell. And you need a good quality juice machine that will deal with your greens. And then in addition to your dark green leafy vegetables, you need to have other vegetables that produce more yield and more fluid than just dark greens. So we use cabbage, we use celery, we use cucumbers, and then you end up with a juice that is super nutritious. And I used to, at one point when I was really pushing with this stuff, I was making juice 3 times a day, every day, just because if you listen to any of my previous talks, I seem to feel at times I need to work quadruply hard on my health. You may not want to do that, but we had half of the juice that I made at lunchtime. We drank that with our lunch. And then the rest of it is in this bottle here, so that we can have that during the rest of the day when at that moment where you feel, oh, I just want to snack on a biscuit or something like that. And if the juice is there and made in a glass bottle in the fridge, then straight away you can reach out and grab that. Okay, so the other thing that Sylvie does a lot of now is sauerkraut, fermented foods. And these are all things which, in addition to that, we use a dehydrator. And this is some onion bread from that book that Sylvie has made. Sorry, need to sort my words out here. And that, if you add that to your salad, that's absolutely delicious. Dehydrating rather than cooking things in an oven. There's arguably less nutrient degradation than cooking things at higher temperatures. It's cooking things at a lower temperature, and you get more concentrated flavour, and that's a bit more chaotic. Okay, so Sylvie's now crawling under the computer screen. I'm going to stop now talking for a couple of minutes, and I just want, if we can, us all just to close our eyes and reflect on that gabble of information that I've given to you, and just imagine your body now going inside, your liver working, detoxifying, your kidneys filtering, your lungs breathing in and out, your heart pumping, the miracle that is your body. And now just sit and think of all those things that you've just heard me talking about, is there any one of them that your body is saying it would like you to start doing? Okay, maybe it's all of them, maybe it's none. Anyway, there may be some questions there, so if there are, maybe Aisha can come online and tell us, and any comments, gratefully appreciated, and there we go.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Gareth. I thought it was excellent just to, you know, not just listen to a talk, but, you know, also see with the, you know, what you're talking about, and, you know, just kind of makes it more, I think, easier to integrate into one's life. So, okay, well, I'm looking here, a couple of questions, you know, comments that I think there are a couple of other people who loved it like me. So what is the name of the first book you mentioned?
Okay, that is over here, and it is called How Not to Die, which you've got in Mirror Vision, by Dr. Michael Greger. Now, what I would say is it's a really, really good book. There are lots of different chapters on different health conditions and some of the scientific papers that show the foods that can help and support that. One thing I would say, under my breath, I wouldn't particularly recommend the recipe book, because I've had clients who have bought that, and the theory is great in that book, and he's written another book called How Not to Diet, both of which I think are excellent. His website, nutritionfacts.org, is brilliant. So I can't recommend that book highly enough, but I would say for recipe books, if you want gourmet plant-based eating, then the one that we absolutely use and recommend is this, which is the Pharmacy Kitchen Cookbook, and that's by Camilla El Fayed, Dodi El Fayed's sister, and she runs a restaurant in Notting Hill, which is considered a bit sort of chic, and I don't think it is actually that expensive, but it is gourmet plant-based food. So that's a great book. And then another great book is by my dear colleague and friend Daphne Lambert, which is called Living Food, A Feast for Soil and Soul.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Before your speech, before hearing you, I have bought the book, and I do agree with you. There's nothing special about the book, the cookbook. The book is very good. You know, with your recommendations, I've read it too, but the cookbook is very ordinary. It's disappointing. I agree with you. Okay, so let's see. Should you blanch kale before juicing it?
I would say not. The rawer, the better. You know, you just want to. We wash it, and then we cut the bottoms off it and we put it in those bowls. But I wouldn't blanch it, because one of the things in one of my previous talks, I've shown the difference in energetic quality between a lentil sprout when it's raw, and then when you put it in boiling water water at 60 degrees for 2 minutes, and the energetic quality diminishes dramatically. So personally, I wouldn't, but if that's a way of getting more kale into you, then do.
Mm-hmm. Right, okay. Is your smoothie more of a savory flavor rather than sweet? Yes,
it's we eat it like a soup. Yeah, you know, our favourite snack at the moment is, yes, and if, you know, I've got clients who, with their kids, you know, there's no way that they're going to eat that. So one of my clients sent me a picture of their daughter with green smoothie all over their mouth but there were definitely bananas in that one.
Okay. And the question is, how long do you comfortably leave new juice in fridge?
No longer than, well, 12, 14 hours. After 14 hours, we throw it away. I wouldn't drink it after 14 hours.
Okay. Okay, so how you've likely experimented with several juicers over the years. How did you settle on your current one?
Well, that's a very good question. Somebody gave it to me, and as I say, it's called the Monster, and it does take a lot of cleaning. So if you go to my website, food-for-life.co.uk, there's a document on there where I point, the advantages and disadvantages of different types of juices. So I think it's under the information section. And what I recommend is not the one we've got, because it does take a lot of cleaning, and it's quite a lot of hassle. But it's really efficient. I mean, there's nothing like it in terms of efficiency, but they're £700 new. And as I say, we were very blessed and were given it. But I would look more at the Auger juices that are on my website, which are just as efficient, really, with greens. That's the most important thing. You can get a 45 quid centrifugal juicer, but it will not touch dark green leafy vegetables. You will literally put bags and bags and bags in, and you'll get thimblefuls of juice.
Okay, thank you. And Tracy, I think maybe everybody read it, is commenting that her little boy is loving growing his own veggies, berries in the garden. They haven't reaped the rewards yet, but looking forward to it. So thanks for sharing, Tracy. Okay, so I think that's it for the questions. Anybody has any other questions before we close the session?
Just one brief question. Thank you all. Any mention or elaboration on dehydration and either tools for doing the dehydration that you mentioned? Yeah.
Sorry, I can't see your name.
Oh, Mark.
Hello, Mark. Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, you can get some really, well, not even expensive, but the biggest priority for us was that the dehydrator would fit into the corner of the kitchen unit and be stashed away, because we thought that if we were going to put it in a cupboard and have to sort of get it out and it be a procedure, we would never use it. So the one that we've got is a Stockley, which is Swiss, and it blows air up from the bottom, and it's not as efficient as the Excalibur ones, but it's just easier to store away on the kitchen surface top. So that was sort of a stage that we went to. We were a bit reluctant to begin with, but now we use, well, Sylvie uses it a lot. And getting used to using it, I remember when we were first doing it, Sylvie just used to look at me and say, do not tell anybody that this is easy, because we were getting the recipes together and working out how to do that. But now Sylvie is lightning efficient, and we just leave that running during the night, and we make that onion bread, kale chips. We've got some falafel that we make with sprouted seeds. We will be going to run some courses on that. So if that interests you, then keep in touch via our website. And I hope that answers your question.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Gareth. I think we've reached our time limit as well. This was an excellent session, very different than just a presentation and, talking about things. So show and tell is always good. So thank you very much.
So I want to say a big thank you to all of you for joining this session, and to Aisha for organising it. Greatly appreciated. So Pa, Aisha, and 58, thank you very much.
Thank you, Gareth. Bye, Sylvie. Thank you too. Take care.
Thank you, Sylvie.
Bye.
Bye-bye.